Well, this is November the 28th, and I'm going to start another batch of smoked steelhead. Get these from Costco, and you can see I get about almost 2 pounds here. So 3.43 pounds net weight, so that's just a little over 1.5 pounds. I usually like to get 4 pounds where I got 2 pound fillets, but I'm going to do 6 fillets, 3 fish, and the first thing I'm going to do next is start making my brine so I can put these fillets in the brine. So well, I'm going to start making my brine for my smoked fish recipe. As you can see, I'm going to use Morton salt, koshers, light brown sugar, some black pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder, and some bay leaves. And I'll give you the amounts here as I pour them into our pot here. So I'm going to start with some water, and we'll put in 15 cups of water to start. That's what I find is enough for 6 fillets, 3 fish, and it's enough to put in the crock pot. So where I put a plate on top, it's enough to cover all the fish. So let's start putting ingredients in. Well, I'm going to start making my brine right now, and so I'm going to give you what I put in here for my 6 fillets, but I'll tell you what you need to do for 2 fillets or 1 fish. First, I'm going to put in my onion salt. This is 3/4 of a teaspoon for 3 fish, and you would put in 1/4 of a teaspoon for 2 fillets or 1 fish. And next, I'm going to put my garlic powder in here, 3/4 of a teaspoon. And of course, that would just be 1/4 teaspoon for 1 fish or 2 fillets. Next, we'll put in black pepper. This is also 3/4 of a teaspoon. And we put that in there. Next, we're going to put in our kosher salt, which is 1.5 cups of kosher salt. Of course, it'd be 1/2 cup just for 2 fillets. And next, we're going to put in the brown sugar, which is 3 3/4 cups, or would be 1 1/4 cups for just 2 fillets. And last, I take my bay leaves, and these are 6 bay leaves. I crumple them all up, and I'm going to put them in there. And next thing we do is this is going to go on the stove, or I'm going to bring that to a boil. Now after we bring that to boil and it cools down, we're going to put the juice of 6 lemons and the zest of 6 lemons to that after it's cool. Of course, if it was just 2 fillets, it'd be just 2 lemons, the juice of 2 lemons, and then the zest of 2 lemons. And that would be the end of it. Let it cool down, and then we'll put our fillets in. Well, I've finished boiling up this brine, and it's cooled off outside for 3 hours or so. And I put in, because I have 6 fillets, I'm doing 3 fish, I put in the zest of 6 lemons and the juice of 6 lemons, and being that's 2 lemons per fish, and for the zest and stuff. And I'm now going to put these steelhead fillets in my brine, and you'll notice that the skin is still on, so you need that skin to be left on. So I'm just going to put them in here and make sure they're all covered up, and I kind of alternate them, one way and one another, make sure they're all get in the bottom there real good. And I've got a plate that fits here, and I'll put the plate on top of everything, and yeah, the way that submerges all the fish in the brine, so there's no meat, you know, exposed to the surface. And here's the, you can see this is coming up nicely, about what it is every time. And here's my last fillet. That'll be just right. And here's my plate. It just happens to fit in there. And I put the plate like this. You can see it's going to go down. Now I put something on top there, and I'm just going to go over here and pick something that's weighty. And I'll take these 2 cans of chili starter, and that'll work. And we're going to put this on top there, like this. You can see that's, these 2 cans are just like this. Right. Gonna get them in there. There. So you can see there's no fish exposed. So they're all underneath there, and that's the way it's going to be. So this is in the brine tonight on Wednesday at 5:30, and we'll take this out sometime tomorrow, and I'll show you the process after I get them out of the brine. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Well, I've got 4 of the fillets all rinsed off, towel dried real good, and cut for sizes to put into the seal meal. And I wanted to show you this. Reason I cut them now is that if you wait to cut them after they're all smoked up, they're very fragile, and it's hard to cut them in the sizes that you want to put in a seal meal and seal them up real good and freeze them. So I used to come on the tail here and right about here make my cut, and these shrink a lot. So I'm now going to cut this one probably over to here, which looks kind of big, but it'll shrink up, and then I'll have the rest of the pieces. I can probably get 4 pieces out of this, and these will be about 4 fingers here with this tail part, because it's skinnier and it shrinks quite a bit. We'll see that, and that's why I cut them now. And getting ready for put the fan to them, to put the pellicle on them. And this is a little trick that my nephew Darren George told me to do, to put them on a pellicle on a fan to create the pellicle. And also they're easy to handle when the edges get firmer in the smoking, and they're easy to handle. So I'm going to finish these 2 up, and then we'll get them on the fan, and I'll show you how I get them on the fan to produce the pellicle. Get in there.
You're so good at this.
Well, part of smoking my steelhead is I use a whole bag, usually apple smoking chips, and I'll put in maybe 1/3 of a bag of cherry. And I throw them into a bucket about an hour before we start smoking. I fill it up with hot water. Well, I've got the fish on the smoker here. This is actually just a barbecue grill. It runs on natural gas, and the smoke's coming from over here, from this smoker box right there. But I'll do it a half hour or so. Keep coming out, checking this. Oh, and keeping that full, so it's smoking for 3 hours. And I got my pans underneath, you can see, and I got my temperature probe right there coming over here, remote. It's 59 degrees now, but it'll get up, and I'll just shut this down and watch my my remote here, and just keep coming out and fill up the smoker box, and that's all there's to it. So it's about 12:30, so I had about 3.5 hours maybe on underneath the fan, And I think in about 3 hours, probably around 4, we'll have them all done and put them in a pan and let them cool off for the night and seal them up. So coming along good. That's all it takes, and I'll just, well, my smoking's done. It's almost 5 o'clock. I gave it a little bit longer. It's so cold out here today. It's snowing. It's started out about 28 and been around 31 all day. So you can see some old pieces over here. Got a little bit burnt, but the rest is good here. And my smoker, my alarm here, just got up to 149 degrees for a while. So I know that cooked everything, and they should be fine. My pans are there, are, you know, cold. So it's time to take these off, put them in the pan, let them sit maybe overnight, or maybe tonight when they're cool we can. This size that I'm cutting up. You can see I'm getting 4 pieces on a fillet. I'm making that bigger tail because this part there's not much meat in here, and it kind of fills it up over here. And this is the seal meal here, and we'll fire this up, finish this off. Doesn't take long. And you can see I stuck my paper in here, and that's to when this sucking air out, the juices go from here into the paper, and then we get a great seal right here, so it doesn't expand later on in the year. And all I'm doing these is I'm going to label all these and put a date and what it is, and I'll do these last 4 here and package them up and put them in the freezer, and they'll be good to go. And the last part of our video is going to be how we prepare our smoked steelhead for hors d'oeuvres. And I'm going to give credit to my dad. This is Dad's recipe with the ingredients, but not how much to use. And my nephew Darren George, he come down with how much to use with each fillet, you know, quantity wise, and I just multiply that out times 6 to get what I need for my brine and everything. And smoking, I get it up to, again, I like to get it to 150 with a...
Well, it's not Julia, it's Jackie. Larry's done his part, and it was a huge effort, but he does it well. And the smoked salmon is finished, and what we have in front of us is how, excuse me just a minute, is how we would put these together per Darren's suggestion. The accoutrements are, of course, the packages you see in front of you.
Show me.
Okay, that's the little baguette crisp here. We buy these at our local Kroger. I like the sea salt variety. Some capers. We've used both the large and the smaller capers. They're very good. And just a simple cream cheese. Unfortunately, this doesn't come in low fat. I looked, but it's chives, and it's very tasty, and it is really what helps to hold everything together and really give it a nice taste. I've also sliced some thin, sweet Vidalia onion here, and so now and these are a sample of what they should look like in their finished state. So since we're eating these, I'm just going to use my hands, but if you're having guests over, you probably want to give them tools. So I put a little bit of this, of the cream cheese on, and again, this is for us, so my hands are clean. I'm doing this, and you got to kind of poke it in there so that they'll adhere. And a little bit of onion, and then a nice piece or 2 of the steelhead. And this is delicious. We've already sampled. So bon appetit.